Join me as I take on the challenge of creating a stunning finger painting of a magical moonlit night, using only my fingers and no brushes. Today, we're going to unleash our creativity and dive into the wonderful world of finger painting. Who needs brushes when you have fingers, right? We're going to bring a magical moonlit night to life using just our fingers and some paint. It's going to be so much fun, and I'm excited to have you along on this artistic journey. Capturing the essence of a moonlit night is no easy feat, especially when you're working with just your fingers and paint. The delicate balance of light and shadow, the soft glow of the moon, and the subtle textures of the night sky, it's a lot to convey with just your fingertips. But that's what makes it so challenging, and so rewarding. The biggest hurdle is probably going to be controlling the amount of paint on my fingers. Too much, and the painting becomes a mess. Too little, and it's hard to get the desired effect. I'm also worried about achieving the right consistency with the paint. If it's too thick, it won't spread evenly. If it's too thin, it'll be hard to control. Then there's the issue of blending colors. Fingers aren't exactly precision instruments, so getting smooth transitions between colors can be tricky. And let's not forget about the nuances of texture and pattern. How do you recreate the intricate details of a moonlit night using just your fingers? It's a puzzle, but I love a good puzzle. Despite the challenges, I'm really excited to get started. There's something so liberating about working with your fingers. It's like tapping into your inner child. You get to be messy, you get to experiment, and you get to see your creativity unfold in a really organic way. So, let's take a deep breath, get our fingers ready, and dive into this magical moonlit night. The first step is to create a rough outline of our composition. I'm using a large piece of paper, and I'm starting with a very loose sketch of the night sky. My fingers are going to be my guide, so I'm not too worried about precision at this stage. I just want to get a sense of the overall layout. Once I have that, I can start building up the colors and textures. For the night sky, I'm using a combination of blues and purples to create a sense of depth and atmosphere. As I start to add more colors, I'm thinking about the emotions I want to evoke. I want this painting to feel peaceful, dreamy, and maybe even a little bit mystical. The moon is going to be the focal point, so I'm using a soft, creamy white to create a sense of glow. I'm also experimenting with different textures to capture the delicate patterns of the night sky. It's amazing how much expression you can get from just your fingers. The more I paint, the more I feel myself getting lost in the process. It's meditative, in a way, the gentle strokes, the blending of colors, the sense of creation unfolding before your eyes. I love watching the painting come together, seeing the textures and patterns emerge, and feeling the emotions start to take shape. It's a truly magical process. And then, suddenly, it happens, the painting starts to come alive. The colors deepen, the textures become more pronounced, and the moon starts to glow with an otherworldly light. It's like magic, I tell you. The whole piece transforms before your eyes, and it's hard not to feel a sense of wonder and awe. Looking back on this journey, I'm reminded of just how much joy and satisfaction I get from finger painting. It's not about creating a perfect piece of art, it's about embracing the process, letting go of control, and allowing your creativity to shine. And that, my friends, is the real magic of finger painting. Thanks for joining me on this artistic adventure. If you have any finger painting experiences or tips you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. Today, I want to show you that with just a little creativity and some basic techniques, you can create a stunning piece of art using nothing but your fingers. It's amazing to think that something so simple can lead to breathtaking results. So many people out there think that creating a beautiful art piece requires expensive tools or extensive training. They believe that you need to be a skilled artist to produce something truly impressive. But the truth is, some of the most incredible art can be created with the simplest of tools, and I'm not just talking about the tools themselves, but also the skills required to use them. I mean, think about it, some of the most famous artists in history started out with nothing but a pencil and paper, and yet they were able to create masterpieces that would be revered for centuries to come. What this really comes down to is a misconception about what it means to be creative. People often think that creativity is about having some kind of innate talent or ability, when in reality, it's about experimentation, perseverance, and a willingness to take risks. With this mindset, even the most basic tools can become instruments of artistic expression. The fact is, anyone can create something beautiful, regardless of their background or training. You don't need to be a skilled artist to produce something that's visually stunning, you just need to be willing to try. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to take a blank piece of paper and turn it into a dark night scene, using nothing but our fingers. Let's get started. The first step is to create the base color for our night sky. I'm using a dark blue, almost black, mixture to give it a deep, rich tone. I'm applying it to the paper in gentle, sweeping motions, making sure to cover the entire surface. Next, I'm going to add some shading to give the sky some depth and dimension. I'm using a slightly lighter shade of blue, and I'm applying it in small, circular motions. This helps to create a sense of movement and texture in the sky. Now we're going to add some stars to our night sky. I'm using a small amount of white paint and applying it to the paper in tiny dots. I'm trying to vary the size and spacing of the dots to give the impression of depth and distance. As we continue to build up the layers, we can start to see the night scene coming to life. The stars are twinkling, the sky is dark and mysterious, and we're starting to get a sense of atmosphere. Now that we have the basic elements in place, it's time to add some finishing touches. I'm going to add some subtle shading to the buildings in the distance, using a dark gray mixture to give them some depth and dimension. I'm also going to add some highlights to the windows, using a small amount of white paint to give them a sense of glow. As I step back and look at the finished piece, I'm blown away by how far we've come. What started as a blank piece of paper has been transformed into a stunning dark night scene, all thanks to a few simple techniques and some basic tools. Today, we learned that with a little creativity and some basic techniques, you can create something truly breathtaking using nothing but your fingers. Don't be afraid to experiment, take risks, and try new things, and most importantly, don't be afraid to get a little messy. Finger painting is an incredible art form that allows us to express ourselves in a unique and expressive way. It's an opportunity to tap into our creativity and bring our imagination to life. And today, I want to show you how we can use this powerful medium to create a breathtaking dark night waterfall scene. When it comes to depicting night scenes, one of the biggest challenges artists face is capturing the right colors. It's easy to fall into the trap of using only dark blues and blacks, but that can lead to a flat and lifeless image. We need to think about how to balance those darker tones with hints of lighter colors to create depth and dimension. Lighting is another crucial aspect of night scenes. We need to consider how the light from the stars, moon, or even streetlights can illuminate the darkness, creating an eerie glow. Getting this balance right is key to creating a believable and captivating scene. And then, of course, there's the issue of textures. How do we capture the rough, rocky texture of the waterfall's surroundings, or the smooth, flowing motion of the water itself? It's a delicate balance between creating realistic textures and avoiding muddiness or messiness. In finger painting, we have the added challenge of using our fingers to create these textures and effects. It requires a level of control and precision that can be difficult to master, but the results can be truly stunning. To get started, I'll be using a combination of acrylic paint and a specialized finger painting medium. This medium allows us to blend colors and create smooth, even textures that are perfect for capturing the flow of water. I'll also be using a variety of finger techniques, from gentle tapping to more forceful pressing, to create the different textures and effects we need. When it comes to blending colors, the key is to start with a light base coat and then gradually build up to darker shades. This allows us to create a sense of depth and dimensionality in the image. For the waterfall itself, I'll be using a combination of blues and whites to capture the flow and movement of the water. As we add more details and textures to the painting, it's essential to keep stepping back and evaluating the overall effect. This helps us to avoid getting too caught up in the minutiae and ensures that the final image is balanced and cohesive. Okay, let's get to the moment of truth. The waterfall takes shape. This is where all our techniques and materials come together to create the stunning, flowing motion of the waterfall. I'll be using a combination of gentle, sweeping strokes and more forceful presses to capture the energy and movement of the water. As I work, I'll be constantly evaluating the painting, making adjustments and tweaks as needed to ensure that the final image is everything I envision. It's a process that requires patience, practice, and a willingness to take risks and try new things. I've always been fascinated by the idea of taking something old and discarded and turning it into something beautiful and unique. And what better way to do that than by painting a stunning moonlit mountain lake on a piece of scrap wood? The contrast between the rough, weathered wood and the serene, ethereal quality of the painting is just too intriguing to resist. When it comes to painting on unconventional surfaces like scrap wood, one of the biggest challenges is overcoming the limitations of the material itself. Wood is a notoriously unforgiving surface. It can be rough, porous, and prone to warping or cracking. And when you're trying to achieve a level of realism, all those imperfections can be a real obstacle. But that's exactly what makes this project so exciting. Can I actually pull off a realistic painting on this humble piece of wood? Of course, there's also the expectation versus reality factor to consider. We've all seen those stunning, hyper-realistic paintings online, and it's easy to get caught up in the idea that we can achieve the same level of perfection. But the truth is, realism is hard. It takes skill, patience, and a lot of practice. So, can I really deliver a painting that's going to blow your mind? I'm not sure, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Let's get started, shall we? The first step is to prime this wood with a coat of gesso. That'll help create a smooth, even surface for my paint to adhere to. Then, I'll start blocking in the basic shapes of the landscape, the mountains, the lake, the sky, with a rough underpainting. It's not going to be perfect at this stage, but that's okay, we're just getting started. Once I've got my underpainting in place, it's time to start thinking about color. I want this painting to have a dreamy, ethereal quality, so I'll be focusing on soft, moonlit hues, blues, purples, and silvers. I'll start by painting in the sky, using a wet-on-wet technique to blend those colors together and create a sense of depth and atmosphere. Then, I'll move on to the mountains, using a combination of dry brushing and glazing to build up texture and add dimension. As I work, I'm constantly looking for ways to create depth and atmosphere in this painting. I'll use layer upon layer of translucent paint to build up the colors, allowing each layer to dry before adding the next. It's a slow, meditative process, but it's the key to achieving that sense of realism I'm after. And of course, I'll be paying close attention to the play of light on the water. That's what's going to make this painting really come alive. The more I work on this painting, the more I start to see the magic happening. The wood grain is still visible in places, giving the painting a rough, organic feel, but the colors are starting to blend together in a way that's really evocative of a moonlit night. I can almost smell the fresh mountain air and hear the sound of the water lapping against the shore. It's moments like these that remind me why I love painting so much. There's just something magical about bringing a blank surface to life. As I step back to admire my handiwork, I'm struck by just how far this painting has come. From a blank, rough piece of scrap wood to a vibrant, moonlit landscape, it's been quite the journey. And you know what? I think I might just have pulled it off. The wood grain is still visible, but it adds a unique texture and interest to the painting that I really love. And that sense of realism I was after? I think I've achieved it. Painting on scrap wood has been a real adventure, and one that I'm so glad I undertook. It's reminded me that art doesn't have to be perfect, and that sometimes the most beautiful things can emerge from the most unexpected materials. And who knows? Maybe you'll be inspired to try something similar, and see what kind of beauty you can create from the humblest of beginnings. Thanks for joining me on this journey, everyone. If you've got any experiences with painting on unconventional surfaces, I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. And if you're looking for more art tutorials and inspiration, be sure to check out my other videos.